Let's talk about portfolios today. The age-old question is, what kind of portfolio should you have? You've seen those insanely, amazingly designed portfolios on awards or Webflow. I call these the fancy portfolios. Or you also see those really simple, straight to the point. I call these the simple portfolios. So why should you make a fancy portfolio, right? As someone who has hired many designers and freelancers in the past, here's some of my advice. From a recruiter's perspective or the client perspective, when they see a more unique portfolio, they think, oh, this person has taste, they have their own brand, they have their own style. Whether or not you're an engineer or consultant or any of these things, having a more personal branded website will give you a little points. In my own experience, having a fancy portfolio actually got me my first design job. I remember the hiring manager basically told me she loves my website, and because she was reviewing each candidate's website, she actually reviewed my website. You know, after interviews, I got an offer from them. You might also get featured on sites like Awards and Webflow, and that is great for your personal branding and great for clients finding you. It's also great for marketing related roles because having a great website it's showcasing to your client that you are good at presenting yourself. Why shouldn't you have a fancy portfolio? Well, it takes a really long time to create one, right? You have to design it from scratch. And not just that, you have to make it mobile and iPad optimized these days. You can't just have a web portfolio because the most important part is if your site navigation is not well thought out, it's gonna be a pain in the ass, and honestly you might end up with the recruiter or the client not looking through your portfolio properly. You also have to consider the loading time of your portfolio. If you add all these fancy elements and it takes forever to load and it's not even optimized for mobile, you might hurt your chances even more. Simple portfolios. Alright, well, I mean, first of all, they're straight to the point. When I look at a simple portfolio, I know right away what this person is doing, what this person is capable of. Your client may not have time to go through every single thing, so a straight to the point portfolio is actually so great for navigation and for understanding immediately the value that you can bring to the client or the recruiter. Thinking from the client or the recruiter perspective, they're reviewing thousands and hundreds of portfolios a day. So you want to make their lives easier by having a really straight to the point portfolio. And why shouldn't you have a simple portfolio? Well, think about it again from the client's perspective. They're literally reviewing hundreds of people's portfolios. You don't want to get blend in and get SQUARESPACED. This is what I call for the generic website design portfolio.
Alright, let's go in depth a little more to understand what is a SQUARESPACED portfolio. This is basically a portfolio where I click on it and it doesn't really show a lot about what this person has done in the past. There is some project description, but there's not a lot of impact mentioned. That's not helpful to me when I'm trying to decide if I should hire you or not. And not only does your website not stand out, beyond that, your unique strengths and unique skills are not showcased. Everyone has their own unique set of skills. This is exactly what your portfolio should aim to showcase. Your unique set of strengths.
SQUARESPACED. So my overall advice is if you don't have time, go for the simple portfolio, straight to the point, show people the value that you can bring. The most important thing really in a portfolio is to highlight your processes, the way you think about a problem, how you problem solved, the impact that you brought for your previous clients and work. If you have a fancy portfolio with none of the above, to be honest, your portfolio is not that useful showing what you can do and the value that you bring. Because from a client's perspective, value is all they want. If time is going to be an issue for you, a simple portfolio is better than none. And to be honest, it's actually better to do it that way. First, release a really simple portfolio of what you can do, your case studies, and how you problem solve, your processes, all the different ideas that you proposed, but which one you ultimately went for, how you could do better, and finally, your impact. And then over time, you can build up your portfolio and create a more fancy one. When I look back on my own portfolio, to be honest, my style has changed throughout these few years. My personal branding has changed as well. And I don't really have time to make another fancy portfolio. Upkeeping with my fancy portfolio takes so much time. I just ended up using my own Notion as my portfolio. And that kind of defeated the purpose of having a fancy portfolio. Not just that, by the way, for a fancy portfolio, you also have to continue to pay for like the website hosting fees or like the whatever service you're using to create the fancy portfolio, unless you're like a freaking genius and you can code it all up yourself. I applaud you. And you know what? Fine. If you're out of time, I'll let you use Squarespace to build a portfolio. So, long story short, if you're going for a simple portfolio, make yours stand out by showing the value that you bring and the impact that you have. You're always free to change up the font and make it yours. Really great to have some quick summary points and quick highlights to show whoever is looking at your portfolio that you are amazing and these are all the things that you're capable of. Another question that people often ask is, should you include about me sections? It's always fun to understand a little bit more about the freelancer or the candidate that I'm working with, because after all, we're all humans and I like working with humans. You know, it's always nice to connect with other people. And most importantly, show the impact. Show reviews of what your previous client said. Add some recommendations from your previous employer. Don't get Squarespaced. If you like this video, make sure to check out this video where I showed you all the different website builders you could use to build your own portfolio, from paid to free options. And I'll see you next week. Bye!